Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to We Are the People. Today, my guest asked me exactly what the subject we are going to talk about. Do you know it's not just one subject in life? So there's a lots of subjects that we can talk about. Specifically, if you are passionate about public service, public office, and some other issues, there's lots of subject right in front of you. You may not see it every day, but those subjects are killing you or killing someone like you in that process. As all of you know that June 25th, there was a primary election. Nominee for Queen's District Attorney. Guess what? Today is July 17th. As of today, we don't have a result. And these people are fighting each other who got 20 votes more or 16 votes less. Well, that's the life. Number one, we're going to talk about this subject, and there is another subject. All those immigrants are living a fearful life. The President of America, Mr. Donald Trump, successfully put the fear into the hearts of 13 to 14 million immigrants, those who are living here legally, illegally. I don't want to talk about legally or illegally because I'm not the person who is in a position to describe legal status. Rather, I would put it into the hands of a legal professional who can describe more. Today, I invited one of the important individuals. She's very passionate about public service, like to help people. She's not crazy like me, because sometimes I says I'm going to help people. I end up hurting people in a way that without knowledge I'm pushing something. But the person I'm talking about, she's always to the point. Ladies and gentlemen, let's meet my today's guest, Attorney Donna Sullivan. Donna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jacob. It's a pleasure to be here.
How are you, Donna? Last time, before our Democratic primary for Queens County Democratic District Attorney's Office, you, me, and Ed, we did a show.
We did.
Okay, and what is your feelings like after the show and whatever election you saw, the results? Some people claim the victory, and then another person claimed the victory, and right now it's like open up all Pandora's boxes. What is going on?
Well, I think a number of things come to mind about that race. First of all, as you said, a month's gone by, and here we are, still waiting to find out who is going to be on the Democratic ticket for District Attorney of Queens County. But I also want to say that, first of all, voter turnout was a disappointment.
It was.
And that's always a problem. I think it's particularly a problem when you have these smaller elections, lower local level elections. And I think it's because people think that, well, my vote really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Really, what difference does it make? And this election, for me, really demonstrates how much and how important your vote is in any election. Now, I think they're now saying that we're down to, I think there's a difference of 15 or 16 votes between the two candidates. And we have to wait until they're counted. So that's number one. I think voter turnout is clearly, this was a good indication, a good example of why we all need to vote and why your vote does indeed count. Second of all, I think that what we had here was a situation where we have one group that are now been labeled the progressives. And then we have the machine, as they say, supporting another candidate. You're going to always have different groups supporting different people. And I think that that's what our entire system is based upon. And I think it's a healthy thing to have different representatives from different ways of thinking, from different experiences. I think that's a good thing. The next issue that comes to mind with this whole election, though, is what you raised. Why is it that we here are in 2019 in the United States of America, New York City, not even New York State, we're in New York City, and we are at a point where we don't have a mechanism where our votes are very carefully and very accurately counted when we vote, that we have to have manual counts. And
in
that,
the 21st century?
And then you say, well, if we have to have manual counts, well, what's wrong with the machines? Why aren't the machines able to do it? And if they're not able to do it, then why are we relying on the manpower? Why don't we just rely on the manpower to do it to begin with? What you're raising clearly is an issue. And I think you'll remember back when Obama was elected. Do you remember what went on with people trying to vote and not being able to vote? And then the counting, whether their votes were included.
Yep.
It seems to be an ongoing problem that not only New York City, but the entire country, we're having, for some reason, increasing difficulty being able to count these votes.
There is another point. I agree that the reason for the voters' low turnout, you mentioned 2-3 subjects, but one subject, I believe, after talking to numerous people, that's my view, lots of people did not go to the polling booth to vote because Democratic County already selected someone to become the nominee. And they knows that Democratic machine did not ask any people of the county that whom they are going to nominate. They already know. They are saying, okay, this is the food you should eat, whether you like it or not, we're going to shove it into your throat. Mm-hmm. So people says, what difference does it make? We're going to go to vote for Melinda Katz or someone else. Even if we vote for someone else, ultimately Melinda Katz will be the nominee. So, do you know what? We are not going to go play the game of Joe Crowley and Democratic machine because we are irrelevant.
Yes, well, they took the attitude, why bother? But look at what's happened. We've got 15 votes, 16 votes between the two. Yeah. And that, if anything, I think certainly proves that mindset is not real. It's not our reality. Your vote does count. And I think in our system, Jacob, we're always going to have people that rely on what the Democratic Party or whatever the political party is, whoever that particular group recommends or is advocating for and is supporting, you have people that will just follow the recommendation of the locals. This is the person that they're supporting. I'm just going to vote for them. And they're not going to do, if you will, their own homework.
But one thing, how would you describe that, how county pick up a candidate? There is, of course, district leaders. Yes. They're asking for the opinion of the district leader that whom they're going to pick. Who will be the candidate for DA? Who is going to be the candidate for judges? That's the way they do.
Yes.
Now, in front of hundreds of district leaders, they propose just one name. Do you think that's a democratic process?
I don't think it's a healthy process, and at all. And it's not a democratic process because it should be presented. There should be a number of names that should come up, and those names and those qualifications and the experiences and the reasons why and the reasons why not should all be things that should be discussed by the group. Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
So in that way, if I, Jacob Milton, says, I'm not going to go to the polling booth, I'm not going to vote for them, because even I say that Democratic County Democrats picked a candidate through all logical process, but that person is not qualified. That person is not good for the county people. That person is not the residents of Queens County. That person has no clue in regards to the operations of the DA's office. I'm not going to vote for him. So I'm Democrat. Are they giving me the right choice to vote? Why should I even bother? I agree with you. I cannot stay home, because if I stay home, the system will stay the way it is. Yeah. I have to go there, show my displeasure, not by shouting, rather vote for someone else.
Well, but I think to a point that's what happened with this election. People are upset. They're not just accepting any longer.
Right.
People are now feeling, hey, what you just raised, why are we doing it this way?
Yeah.
There are so many better ways that we could be doing this. And what's happening is, if you will, the progressives, I hate the label because I don't know if it's an appropriate label. I don't like taking somebody and immediately slapping on a label to that person.
It's like you are saying he's a Jewish and he's a religious Jewish and he's Orthodox Jewish. Main subject is he is a Jewish. So why has to be religious, Orthodox? We are talking about progressive. Like, hey, every voter can have a progressive mind.
Of course.
Every member of the Democratic Party must have a progressive mind, a developed mind that whom we are going to pick.
Absolutely.
Why is one or two or four or a couple of few people is going to be branded, oh, they are progressive minded?
Absolutely. And you're never going to have in a group everyone agreeing on everything. It wouldn't be healthy.
Okay.
Frankly, and it would not be healthy, and it's not something that is natural. But you do have in a group, usually, particularly in a political party, we would hope and we believe that there is a general way of thinking. There is a general approach to problem solving.
Right.
There's a general attitude about certain topics. I agree with you. To now slice it down into all of these different pieces, I really don't see the relevancy of it. But in any event, in this election, we did have a situation where someone was coming forward and was getting enormous support. And it was really based on, I'm not just going to take what's being fed to me or what's being dictated, or the feeling. I use that word very loosely, but being dictated to me. I like what this other person's saying, and I would like to support that. I think right now, more than at any time in our history, each individual in our country has to take more action. They have to take more of a role in the voting process. And I don't mean anything that's elaborate, but I do mean not just accepting. We really all need to do our homework. We really all need to find out who that person is that's running, what has that person done with their life up to this point, what are the plans of this person, the plans and goals. How does that person plan on implementing those goals? Do they have any ideas that are worthwhile? All that process, I know it's work, but they represent us. And that's something that I think a lot of us have gotten very, we've just gotten tired. We've gotten beaten down, know?
Now, I have three important questions. One important question. Suppose that Melinda Katz is going to be the winner and she would become Queen's District Attorney. And I think she would be the first female District Attorney.
Yes, yes, that's correct.
What do you expect, the way you, me, all studied her background? What do you expect from Melinda Katz?
Well, I would expect that the first thing she would have to do is really become acquainted with the criminal justice system. Being a DA and running that type of office is not just running that office and understanding all that goes on in that office. That office has such a major role and has daily, if not even daily, hourly, contact and interaction with so many other agencies. So there has to first be going to school and really becoming developing an understanding and a knowledge base of what the role of the DA is, how the office operates, and then having to learn what is the relation to all of these other agencies. It's a lot. I mean, is it impossible? I don't think it's impossible, but in that kind of situation, I believe that she would have to definitely surround herself with a team of people that have enormous experience in the world of criminal justice. She'd have to do that.
So does that mean you are saying that she should keep all of the people right now who was working under Richard Brown? She should keep all of the people at their place?
Not at all, because I think that people have the misconception that only the people that are currently doing something and have done something for a while are the people that can do a particular job. Having the knowledge base and having the understanding of the workings of that office can be, I think there's quite a lot of different varied sources of people that you could find that would be able to fill that role very comfortably and very well. I don't think it has to come just from the people that have been there. The people that have been there, it was the same administration for many, many years. And I think in anything, if you go into corporate America and you work for a company, whether it's a big company or a small company, and it's the same owners and it's the same everything for many years, everybody kind of just keeps doing the same thing. Yes. And there's a mindset, the freshness, the creativity, well, why do we do it this way? The questioning, all of that doesn't really come out, and it kind of dissipates after a while.
Suppose you are Melinda Kurtz and you become district attorney. Would you rather have the people right now occupying the chair at the DA's office to help you out, or you're going to bring brand new team with a multiple experience who can take over, do the transition?
You know, if you're asking me if this was me, if I was in this situation, what would I do? I do not believe in, I live in gray. I am not a black or white person who lives in that kind of mindset. In answer to your question, I apply the way I look at things to that question, which is really, I wouldn't take a blanket approach, because I don't think, generally speaking, a blanket approach in these kind of situations is the healthiest. I'm going to get rid of everybody. That to me would be ridiculous. At the same time, I think it would be as ridiculous to say, I'm going to keep everything status quo. I think the decision has to really be on an individual basis. What do we need in this department? What do we need in this unit? Who do we have? Let's take a look at what we have. What are we trying to do? Have these people contributed to what we're trying to do, or do they seem to be opposing to, not support what we're trying to do? Do they have feelings that they don't think that they can do what we would be asking them to do, or to look at something in the way that we're asking them to look at? So what I would say is, I think there has to be a very careful analysis of who would potentially remain and who doesn't remain. I would never take a blanket approach in that situation. Really, I really wouldn't. Because even if you were to say, the office as a whole, if someone were to say the office as a whole has to be changed, okay, I still don't think that means every single person should be removed from their position. Or there are people in positions that I would say they may be better suited in another position. And that's something else that should be considered.
Okay, so in your approach, you are saying that right away, I'm not going to get rid of everybody. If you are the DA, incoming DA, you're going to keep people at their place up to a certain time to do your transition little by little.
The transition period, in my opinion, in any type of job, Jacob, you can think you know what you're getting into in any job, but you don't know until you're there. And when you get there, you really have to roll up your sleeves and do your homework and not just rely on what others are telling you. You need to have your team in place, your immediate small group, and you have to start really evaluating, what do we have here? Who do we have here? What are we trying to accomplish? And who is in the best position to accomplish that? Are the people that are here, is this person going to be able to do that for us? If so, maybe we should keep him and her. If not, then we move on. But I personally would want a hands-on approach to that decision making. I think it's critical.
Okay, and do you think Melinda Kurtz has the right qualification and experience and patience to do that?
I don't know. I can certainly say, I cannot comment on whether she would assume that type of approach. I don't know. I would hope so. I would particularly hope so since her frame of reference in the world of criminal justice is doesn't exist. She doesn't have a frame of reference other than what a layperson would have. She doesn't have, and when I say a layperson, I really shouldn't say that. What someone who has had no experience in the criminal justice area, whether they are a lawyer or a layperson, that is, I think, a more accurate statement to say. I think that in that situation, she needs all the more to really make sure that the people that she has around her and then in that office, that they are specifically chosen not only to give her the information and the knowledge base that she needs, but to have confidence that her perception of how things should be run will be done that way.
Now that election is over, primary election is over.
Yes.
In your view, if progressive candidate Tiffany Caban win the election, I am 110% sure. I interviewed her on the same television program. She promised me if she get elected from day one, she don't want any employee of the previous administration there. They're going to give them 3 months notice. She's going to put her transition team. They're going to take it over in 3 months. After 3 months, she says, Jacob, I'm not going to keep one person. I says, why is that? He says, 28 years of Richard Brown's administration, this become a criminal enterprise. Queen's DA's office. That's the way she described. And Tiffany Caban was a public defender for 6 years. It's not that she handled hundreds of cases, but she handled some cases. I'm sure you are passionate about politics and public service. I'm sure you studied Tiffany Caban's background as well as Melinda Carter's background. Who would you prefer to become Queen's DA who would serve better for the citizen of Queens County?
It's a difficult question to answer, but I will say that I think that a lot is going to now depend on their approach. Whoever is actually elected, I think it is critical what their approach is going to be once they actually get in office. And I say that because I don't agree with that viewpoint that Ms. Caban has. The part that I don't agree with, and I do understand what you're saying and what you're saying that she said, I understand it in a general way, of course. But on a very practical point of view, if you understand the workings of a DA's office, you have administration, you have from the DA, the chief executive assistant district attorney, all the way down to the line assistants and to the assistants that are simply working in the court parts that don't have assigned cases, but are in the court and they are reporting from the assigned assistant what exactly is happening with a case. So those particularly, out of anybody, those particularly, I don't see that they're not involved in any of the decision-making of the office. So to say I'm going to remove everyone in the office, I don't think
not right to her. She says, I'm going to give everyone 3 months notice.
But still, she's going to terminate them.
Yeah.
And my view, I wouldn't agree with that because, as I said, there are certain positions in that office, because that office is a very large office, where the discretion is not utilized. And I'm not saying that all of those people should be kept. I'm not saying that at all. But again, I say, let's look at each individual and see what he or she, what their performance has been and what they can still add to the office. I think I believe that that's critical. And frankly, I think it's the best thing, not just necessarily for the DA. I think it's the best thing for all of us.
What is your suggestion for the county Democrats, how they should select their candidate?
Well, this has been a problem not only in this election, but in all
the elections. That is the reason I asked you.
It is a constant issue. It comes up all the time. You have people that are running for a position of judge, and people say, to some, it's wonderful. About others, oh my heavens, are they kidding?
Yeah.
And it's sad because I find talking to non-lawyers that many people believe that if you are elected or if you do run for a judge, you are smarter, that you're extremely knowledgeable in the law, much more so than those who are not elected. And frankly, in some instances, that is true. In many instances, it is not true.
True.
And being a good judge, I'm using just that as an example, is not only about how much law you know or your knowledge base. It's also how you handle people, how you interpret the law, how you handle people who come in various situations. Your diplomatic skills are critical. And many of our judges, some of them, lack that. So this is the problem that you're raising is, and it's a problem that we have to revamp our entire way of nominations. We really do. We have to come up with a way that we get people, not only people that have been hard workers in the local Democratic club or
Yes.
Republican club, whatever the political party is, not only people that have been, if you will, loyal, or as many people will say, or know somebody. You want to have people that don't meet the minimum qualifications for a particular position. But amongst that group, you want people that will actually be able to have a debate or a discussion or be able to explain why they stand out from the others that are being considered. But who's being considered? That's the core of the problem. Who is even getting to the table is the problem.
True.
And my opinion would be that we should first try to identify people that have the necessary qualifications, but not make that the be all and end all. You know, what you see on paper is frequently not what you see in person. But quite the opposite is true too. What you see in person is not always what you see on paper. But we really need, I think, a much better system in terms of really getting candidates that are, to use your word, passionate, that truly care, that are doing this. Certainly they want to earn a living, but they feel that they have something to give and they're very anxious to give it. And that type of passion, if you will, I find lacking today on so many levels, in so many ways.
Okay, so that's the suggestion for the county Democrats. Now tell me what you think. A voter who is really mad at the Democratic missionaries in the county and they says, do you know what, I'm not interested to go to the polling booth and use my voting power. They're gonna put a candidate without my consent.
Oh, sure.
So what is your suggestion? How they should?
Two things. First of all, I totally understand. I have been in that position over the years when I voted and I've said, oh, you know, do I pick the lesser of two evils? Because I was so upset or dismayed by the lack of quality, if you will, of the people running. But at the same time, what propels me is knowing how hard our ancestors worked to get us this right to vote.
Right.
We have an obligation
To vote.
to them and to ourselves to somehow, even though we don't feel it matters, even though we're angry, even though we're disgusted, you still have that obligation to vote. So one, go out there and vote, no matter how much it may hurt you or you hate doing it. But second of all, start contacting your elected officials. Start contacting them and saying, I don't like the way this is done. I don't like the way it's done over and over. I don't like that I'm being told that this is my selection when I happen to know people that really I think would be very good in this position, and no one has ever asked them, and they don't even feel that possibly that they could have a chance at running. I think it really, you know, these changes, everybody thinks changes start at the top, but the changes always come
From the
bottom. So I think I would definitely tell viewers, don't lose faith. Definitely don't lose faith. Don't lose faith in our system, because it is It is the best system in the world. It is not perfect. It is not perfect, but it is the best system in the world. And we owe it to ourselves to do everything that we can to improve it, to make it better. It can be better. We just can't get comfortable. And I think that's what's happened over these years. We've gotten too comfortable.
There is lots of comments that Borough President Melinda Katz, if she get elected, and keep every single person at the office, or even half of the employee of Richard Brown, keep them at the office, she will have real hard time to get re-elected in the future due to the fact that everyone think she is not qualified to run a Queen's DA's office without help of the old people, those who used to work for Richard Brown. Would you make any sorts of suggestion for Melinda Katz?
Well, I would certainly strongly suggest that she take into consideration exactly what it is that the people from Queens County want, what they deserve, and what she is in a position to give them. And if they have clearly expressed that they don't want more of the same, then I feel she has an obligation, and I feel that she should exercise her right to create an office that perhaps may have, as I said before, there may be certain people that she may maintain. But in terms of the overall policy making of the office, the running of the office, the principles of the office, the whole atmosphere in that office, that comes from the top down. And I think it's really important for her that she surround herself by fresh air.
Got it. There is a huge public demand in Queens County in regards to the conviction review unit, that all 4 boroughs has that conviction review unit, but Queens County don't have it because Richard Brown never allowed it. What's your view? What Melinda Katz's approach to this conviction review unit?
Listen, I support conviction review units. Absolutely. I do a lot of work in New York State prisons, and I've represented many people after they've been convicted. And as a matter of fact, I just saw a client of mine this past week who has been incarcerated for 28 or 29 years. So, and I've just met him for the first time. So I have a good solid base of understanding of how the whole system operates and what is important in viewing things. What I would say about her approach, Melinda Katz has to take into consideration the fact that things are not just the way they seem. She has to consider that things are, she has to learn how things are. And the conviction review unit, absolutely. I have met too many people in the years that I've been practicing. I've met too many people that are incarcerated for things they didn't do. Now, then you may say, well, Donna, everybody says that. No, they don't. I don't know how many offenders, whoever would say that, would claim that. I've spoken to thousands of offenders over the years. And I have to tell you, as a general proposition, a man or woman will say to you, hey, I did this. And then to explain to you, or say, hey, I didn't do this, but I got to tell you, I got convicted of this. I didn't do it, but I did do this. Or I didn't do this. There are more innocent people in prison now than ever before. So a conviction review unit absolutely is critical. But I think there's something that's even more important than that. And what's more important is that we don't send people, innocent people, to prison. We reduce those numbers. Now, we can't prevent it across the board. But are there things that we can do to prevent it? You're darn right there are. And that's where the investigative aspect of the district attorney's powers come into play. Why are we talking about what can we do about somebody who's been convicted? Why aren't we talking about, do we have a case? Is it a good case? What evidence do we have? It shouldn't be what I refer to as the gotcha game. Well, I gotcha. You may not have done it, but I've got enough here that I can make it look like you did it.
You did it.
And I think the focus, I have a problem with, of course, like anybody else would, with Queens not having a conviction review unit, but I have a bigger problem, and I feel that more attention should be given from the beginning. It should not be about, well, we want to keep the statistics up in order to maintain certain funding, or we have to find so many people guilty, or we have to offer so many pleas because we need this, or we have to bring so many indictments, or we have to make so many arrests. I understand that the nickels and the dimes are critical. It's what keeps everything going. But we're talking about people's lives. People's lives, not only the offenders' lives, but their entire families' lives.
True. And I think we are almost end of our time. Last subject we're going to talk. Nowadays, immigration issues and lots of illegal immigrants, even whether they're guilty or they're innocent, if they get arrested, automatically district attorney's office is informing ICE and immigration people. They just come and pick it up. If Melinda Kurtz become DA, what you think, what way she should handle? I'll just remind you, Richard Brown still that approach is there, that anyone get arrested, they inform ICE first. What you think that Melinda Kurtz should do?
Stay out of it. Stay out of it. There is absolutely no reason to notify them immediately. You know, an arrest is merely an arrest. Now, I know that sounds like a stupid statement that I just made, but think about it. An arrest, think about what the word arrest means. It means that I am taking you into custody because I believe I have some cause to believe that you actually did something that in violation of the law. That doesn't mean that you did it. It doesn't mean that you did anything else. It's really an arrest. So to immediately notify ICE at that point, I think I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. And things now in the immigration world, I'm only very familiar in a limited way, because frankly, any case that I ever get from a criminal in a criminal case, I have two attorneys that I always turn to, who are immigration specialists, and I bring them in on the case because I would never want anything that I would ever recommend or would ever say to ever in any way harm that person. And there's a lot of considerations that you have to take when you are in that position. Having said that, with my limited knowledge, I can say that criminal justice is over here. Immigration is over here. And immigration right now is so murky. Nobody really understands who's at risk, who's not. We're going to start with this group, but what about that group? What are we going to do about DACA? What are we going to do about this? There's so much not known. There's so much that we don't know, and we don't have definitive lines. Why are we now bringing that into this system? I don't understand. So my advice would be, stay out of it. And I do not believe, I never did believe that the ICE representatives in any way belong near the courthouse. I mean, I have been in a situation where I have been told that a client of mine, that they have come and they're standing outside the courtroom. It is horrible. You cannot, you're totally opposing all that the criminal justice system stands for. We want people to come to court. We want people to be bailed and to honor their bail and to be responsible. We want all of these things. But then when we act this way, again, it's another form of gotcha. If we start doing that, what exactly are we creating? We're creating a system and we're creating a society where there is no trust at all. There's limited trust today, but we're quickly losing whatever trust we have.
I agree.
And we're also creating turbulence where there doesn't have to be any. Those things can be worked out in due time in the right way. But to mix all of this together, no, you don't go to McDonald's and order a pizza.
I agree. Donna, it was wonderful talking to you. It's very helpful, very informative. In the future, probably within a week or two, you and me, we're going to sit down again, bring another subject. You and me, we want to talk about Donald Trump, but today we didn't have time. We didn't have time.
Okay.
But we covered lots of subjects.
We did.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
In the future, I'd like to have you back.
Thank you so much. It's my
No
pleasure.
problem.
Thank you.
Well, we learned a lot of things from Donna. Couple of things I'd like to touch at the end in my remarks. I asked her that what is her suggestion, like the way county Democrats are going to pick up their candidate. I agree with her that they have to select someone who is truly qualified educationally in their personal life, who is a good guy, who is a bad guy. But in a process-wise, this is my opinion. County Democrats, right now the system they have, they are calling all district leader and they are throwing just one name, saying that this is our candidate. But who are they? Okay, they are asking for the approval of district leader. But who is bringing that one candidate? In Queens County, I heard 3 attorneys are involved. They're not even residents of Queens County. They're the residents of Suffolk County, but making a decision for the county of Queens. This is my suggestion, is when democratic machineries in Queens County is going to nominate a candidate for any position, whether district attorney, whether state senator or city council member, they should set up a committee, more than 3, 4, 5, 10 people, to pick up multiple people. Then produce that in front of the district leader. And when district leader are going to make their decision, all the district leader should have 4 or 5 or 10 leaders' resume in their hand so that they can make up their mind that who is the better candidate. It should be this way. Or I cannot say that my way or highway. Probably some other people or some other folks has better idea than mine. My question is, you cannot bring just one name and throw to the floor and asking 200-300 district leader, hey, this is our candidate. Who are you guys? 2-3 people in Queens County, you are not even residents of Queens County, and you are pushing one name? It doesn't make any sense. Number one. And second, when all that chaos is going on, that how democratic machinery is going to pick up a candidate, voters, you cannot stay home. I'll go back to the theory of Confucius. If you don't like the system, you have to go into the system. In order to change the system, you have to be part of the system. How you can be the part of the system? If you abstain yourself, stay home, not voting, that's not going to change anything. Therefore, you have to participate. This is a teamwork. This is a process. We cannot take a gun and shoot someone. We cannot. This is the election process. You have to go into the system. And when you go into the system, probably today, you are just a voter. But who knows, tomorrow, you can run for district leader. You can become a city council member. Why not? There's lots of qualified people. Stay in the back. Why you are staying in the back? Go forward and use your power as a voter. On the other hand, you should encourage your family member, friends, and other people. Go vote. Put yourself into the system first in order to change the system. If you fail to do that, you're not helping yourself, you're not helping the community. Another thing I'd like to mention, that how if Ms. Kurtz is going to, Melinda Kurtz become Queens District Attorney, how she should handle. I agree with Donna Sullivan. What she says that you cannot throw everyone out, because you have to put lots of jigs and puzzle together in order to put an effective system. As a good administrator, with a good managerial skill. As a matter of fact, I would rather keep everyone up to a certain time and I'm going to watch them who is doing what. Usually, this is my experience. Once upon a time, I was the district manager of a Rite Aid pharmacy. Do you know what I always used to do? There was the all-store manager. Right behind, I used to put 2-3 assistant manager and floor supervisor. I used to get their feedback. At one point, I realized that I was not happy with the performance of a store manager. I already knew whom I'm going to replace with. I used to create that system. Once you put that system together, everything would be fine. If Melinda Kurtz is going to become the winner of this race, I will wish her good luck, and I'm sure even with all those criticism, probably she become the finest district attorney of Queens County. Hey, who knows? Sometimes you are expecting someone with the experience. Sometimes you are asking that these people should come to the office with a 20-page resume. But with the 20-page resume, we saw lots of people failed. And with the 1-page resume, there's lots of examples they become successful. When it comes to immigration issues, this is my opinion. I agree with Donna Sullivan 110%. District Attorney's Office should be out of it. Why I says that? If someone gets arrested, Ms. Sullivan described it very clearly. Arrest someone doesn't necessarily mean that guy get convicted. He just got arrested. He's being accused of something. He may be innocent, completely innocent. Why are you going to call ICE to make his life miserable? What if this guy is really innocent? What are you doing? In this country, Constitution says you cannot crucify one individual, one citizen twice for the same crime. I understood what Ms. Sullivan says. You are doing you are crucifying someone for their crimes, and you are calling someone that, listen, I gave him a death sentence, kick him again. This is inhuman treatment. This system should not be this way. Hey, I'm not the expert one. I'm a simple guy. I'm just one of you. But who is expert? A person like Donna Sullivan. I wish she's running for public office. Because in my view, I don't know what she's doing. Instead of running a law firm, she should go and throw her hat into the race and become a public official and take care of residents of Queens County. Who knows? Probably in the future, we're going to beg her to do that. For today, that's our show. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really happy that sometimes I share my views. I share the views of my guests with you. And in the future, I'm looking for more opportunity with the more subject we're going to talk. Thank you for watching us. I'll see you next time. Take care.